Retribution. Smackdown. I don't even know where to begin. I honestly don't. I kind of have an idea of where I'm going to go with this. I'm really trying to find something last minute to really get me excited about this storyline. If you follow my social media, during the week, I came up with an idea. Maybe you make Retribution a group of WWE stars that were released during the pandemic. Then maybe they get a little revenge and then they demand their contracts back and this and that. I thought, okay, maybe we go with that. Not a bad idea. Retribution means that somebody did something to you and you're getting retribution. I thought that's not a bad idea. Then we get tonight. Now, I'm not nitpicking because any of you out there know me well, that I really root for wrestling to be good. I don't spend loads of time on social media, bash. And then once that's all used up, then you try to do a 180 and say, oh, we're just wrestling fans and we just want to see everything better. I got to be honest with you. Maybe because I'm a wrestling fan for so many decades, but, I had just said it in passing last week on blah, blah, blah on Patreon. Then I mentioned it on Monday also. And it had nothing to do with this storyline, but I said, everybody that thinks WWE is going to return to some form of attitude, the best you'll ever get is they'll tease it, but they'll never actually give it to you. This storyline with this retribution, in my opinion, they really need to pay very close attention to social media right now. And yes, there is a group of people that will complain about everything. Absolutely. Just look at what happened with AEW heels tonight. Oh, man, some people were in withdrawal. You took their meds away. Oh, my God, the women are having to get together. We'll talk about that later. This retribution tonight, first of all, if you're going to cause major damage to Transformers, thousands of dollars in damage and light things on fire and this and that, then you show up at the end of SmackDown tonight with weapons. Now, unfortunately, I don't have crowbars here. I don't have chainsaws here. We'll have to use this instead of a chainsaw. We'll have to use this. I was going to bring in a really big knife. Then I thought about it. I'm like, showing a knife on YouTube probably is not the smartest thing to do. But here's my point. And this is why storylines like this suck. They suck. Unless you take those masks off, and these are people that you have been begging to get pushed to the moon and never got utilized, where you're like, oh, shit. There's a reason why when the NWO did what they did, they didn't have masks on. Because their name, their star power was strong enough to make the storyline believable. When you had the Nexus show up and destroy Raw and John Cena and do everything they did and, Daniel Bryan choking Justin Roberts, they didn't have masks on. You knew what they were doing. When you do masks right now, you just had ninjas. You just had ninjas. So you're really copying the ninjas. At least the ninjas was goofy, like 70s type stuff. But here's my problem of what went down today. When you walk around like this with a crowbar in your hand and a baseball bat and a hammer, and you're going to use it in entertainment, you better use it. You watch closely. Seriously. And this just pretty much set it up for me tonight. They're walking around with the crowbars and the baseball bats, banging things. I don't want to break my desk. Like, we're going to intimidate you. Yeah. And then when they start assaulting the people, what do? They drop all the weapons. What are you, stupid? That's like a bad comedy film. The end of Andrew Dice Clay Ford Fairlane when he's challenging Freddy Krueger. He's like, come on, man, fight me like a man. Put down the fucking knife. Come on, fight me. I want to go. Let's go. Fisticuffs, man to man, mano a mano. And Robert Englund's like, any way you like. No, I think he had actually a gun. He's like, anything you like. He drops the gun. And Andrew Dice Clay's laughing and was like, who drops a gun? And he blows him away. They had weapons in their hands. And they started assaulting everybody. They dropped the weapons. And what do the goofs around the NXT building do? You think they pick up the weapons? Suspension of disbelief storyline? You have 20, 30 people around here. You don't have people gang rushing them? What is the entire WWE roster that wasn't injured? What were they all in the bathroom? Taking showers? Getting COVID tested? That was horrendous. Then the best part. Walk into the ring with a chainsaw. Now, if this is retribution, trust me when I tell you, there's a few people that you know online that, you know, maybe in my head I fantasize ultimate retribution. I mean, I don't wish violence on anybody, but if you could take like the psychological retribution and put it in the form of physical violence, I got a chainsaw in my hand. I'm using that chainsaw to saw the WWE announcer's desk in half, the plexiglass, anything. Now, of course, I know what you're going to say to me, DT, the person using the chainsaw probably isn't an expert in it, and maybe, you know, he could get really, really injured. Sure, there's things you don't obviously want to use with a chainsaw, but that's why you don't use the chainsaw in the first place. So the guy takes the chainsaw and he turns it on. Oh my God, he's going to destroy WWE. What does he do? The ring rope. Ah! The ring rope. Ah! Look. Ah! Ah! Fuck you. Damn, I didn't want to curse the whole episode today. Come on. Are you serious? What is this, for the 12-year-old demographic? Oh, snap. That's not Antifa. That's ridiculous. Plus, the best part. Now, it's what, 5 or 6 people? There's some women voices, obviously. You know, when you're doing Antifa violence or you're doing gang violence, retribution, you know, you pick up the girl that you want to assault. The guys don't turn around and say, oh, blah, 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 blah. You know, the woman, the female in the group, you can assault her. You know, because we can't touch women. The men can't touch the women. So we back off. And then what does she do with the woman? She just subtly pushes her in a plexiglass. She's unconscious. She's brain dead. Somebody call an ambulance. She might be on life support. You looked at this closely. You look at the roster. There are people that have been off the roster for a while. You look at the size of those people under the mask today. I think the tallest one might have been 5'7". I mean, I'm sorry, they don't look intimidating. You didn't use enough people. You used 10, 20, now I get it. You can't use that many because then when there's a reveal, it's like, wait, how come there's only 5 people now? What happened to the other 15? This is why you can't do things like this. All right? You look at it closely, it's a joke. It is ridiculous. Go back. If you don't remember it, if you never saw it, go back and watch the Nexus destroy Raw. And if you were one of the members of the Nexus that night and you were looking to destroy Raw, you did pretty much everything that you probably should have done. Tonight, oh my God, they spray painted a line through the Smackdown banner. Oh my God, where's Stephanie on the conference call? What's the matter? Is she too busy to Zoom? Was she part of AEW Heels tonight? Roberto, this is the last time that I ever address you unless there's a $ in front of it. It's just wrestling. It is sports entertainment. It is on prime time, regular TV, billion-dollar deal. You don't write off, you don't justify bad shit by saying it's only wrestling. If that's the case, you should never complain about Raw. You should never complain about SmackDown. You should never complain about NXT, MLW, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor. You can never complain about Joey Ryan's penis stuff, even though he's not doing it anymore. You can't complain. It's just wrestling. It's just wrestling. It's ridiculous. This was a joke. Destruction, look, you see the news. Unfortunately, it sucks. It's terrible. It's disgusting that George Floyd, regardless of his criminal history, regardless of him being under narcotics, the man did not deserve to die. The man did not deserve police brutality. It sucks that police brutality and the death of a person caused all the destruction and devastation that is still going on today. Unfortunately, I think as people realized, all the destruction today is not in the name of George Floyd. It's just people using that as an excuse to basically get revenge on law enforcement and our country and blah, 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 blah. But, when the news is on and there's fire and there's chaos, it's like a bad car accident. For some reason, you can't turn away. You're just glued to it. And that's the mindset of WWE. It's a train wreck. So you just got to watch it anyway. You're glued to it. The problem is when you start dissecting it, there is nothing intimidating about these people. I mean, you look at who is not on TV right now, male and female. I mean, look at it like this. WWE does not have any signings that they have kept secret from us. It's not like all of a sudden you're going to hear that, oh my God, it's blah, 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 blah under the mask. If you think about that, let's say you use Tessa Blanchard. Let's just use the example, Tessa Blanchard. I'm cool. If they reveal it to be Tessa Blanchard, I'm like, okay, all right. This is a talented person and could definitely run with her ability. But retribution on what? What would be the retribution on WWE? He didn't sign me before? And then when you use all this violence, devastation, destruction, breaking trucks, cutting ropes, where do you get the payoff? What is your list of demands? I want to wrestle. I want to fight in the ring. I want to wrestle. It's a bad storyline. You better have top tier names behind those masks, because if you pull them off and it looks like some jerk off that is serving me coffee in Dunkin' Donuts, whether he's in NXT or he's from NXT UK or it's somebody from Evolve, you know, I don't care if the guy could do 650s off the top rope. If it's someone that doesn't look intimidating to me, sorry, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it, especially when you use weapons and you drop the weapons when you do the assaults. Plus, seriously, I brought this up 2 weeks ago. You're attacking someone who punches sideways, who does this. You know, boom, 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 whatever. Kick him in the nuts. Look at the guy today, punching the guy in the midsection. They look like wrestlers pretending to be Antifa. And no. Sorry. I'm not impressed. Not impressed at all. Honestly, any one of you out there, and here's another thing too. Weren't some of them wearing wrestling boots? I could swear at least one or two were wearing wrestling boots. I mean, I don't know. Is WWE like intentionally being like over the top stupid with this stuff? I mean, because I'm not joking when I say this. I wonder if Vince McMahon is, take that. You know, I look at this and it's god awful, man. It's god awful. So But hey, it was what it was. Obviously, this is going to be the talk all night long, all weekend long. But we'll get into everything else. What's up, everybody? It is Friday night, August 7th, 2020. Got to do something. It's getting hot in here. Summertime, 90 degrees. Unfortunately, I got to make the room a little bit cooler. This is the Don Tony Show. I am Don Tony. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, I appreciate it if you give it a little thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do, because I am going to start uploading pre-recorded videos, probably starting next week. So by subscribing, you'll actually get alerted right away when things go up. I'm going to do some announcements in the very near future. Once in a while, sneak in an impromptu contest, some Q&A. And remember, I'm working on launching a Tuesday show. Basically just trying to figure out what it's going to be. A lot of you want call-ins, be able to call in and talk to yours truly. A lot of you want just straight Q&A, maybe even talk about some other things we don't normally talk about. So I'm definitely working on that. Now, if you missed Wednesday's show, what's up, Rain Entertainment? At work and can't watch this. You can watch it later, my friend. Thank you very much, Rain. And, I'm glad you're working, seriously. With everything that's going on in this world, obviously a lot of people out there can't have the ideal jobs that they may have at this time. I'm not saying that your job is anything negative, but I know there's a lot of people out there struggling. So much love to you, my friend. If you all did not hear or see my announcement Wednesday, I'm going to repeat it again and probably one more time next week, and then we could let it go for a little while. Going forward, all the shows are going to be ending a little bit sooner. I'd rather give you an extra show or two a week than to have these long, drawn-out shows. I know I have to stop going on these huge rants that go 15, 20 minutes long. We started at 10:05, so we're only 17 minutes in. I think Retribution tonight definitely needed a little bit of penetration, man. You dissect that. I just can't picture. So for wrestling and sports entertainment in WWE, it's probably like the best they could do. But oh boy, the first thing I say to myself, Survivor Series around the corner. And remember, there's a pay-per-view week after SummerSlam. Payback. What are they gonna do? Is Retribution gonna fight on Payback? So, yeah, thumbs down for 15 minutes of complaining to start the show. Hey, if you don't like the show, everybody, give it a thumbs down. Seriously, if I end up finishing the show and I'm like, I don't think I did a great show tonight, I'll give myself a thumbs down. Just react. And believe me, your input definitely molds how I do things in the future. But from now on, because I think last week the show almost went 3 hours. We want to keep it 2 and under. But that's basically the deal. Mondays and the format is changing a little bit too. Gonna keep it simple. And I think this is very easy for everybody to remember. Monday is Raw recap and some mainstream news. That's it. Wednesday is NXT and AEW reviews, a little bit of indie wrestling mixed in, and that's it. Friday nights is Smackdown review, dissecting the AEW and NXT ratings, the quarterly hours, which I got for you tonight. This week in wrestling history, some other news articles. If you saw in the teaser today, yes, I'm going to talk about Marty Jannetty. I'm going to squash all this nonsense about AEW and WriteTheCensor.com. We'll talk a little bit about, some other topics, and that's it. And then we got Patreon on the weekend. And for any of you out there that ever played Jackbox games, did you notice the shirt I'm wearing today? Did you notice it? Tomorrow night, I invite all of you out here. All of you. Go to our Discord channel. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, we're doing game night once again. You don't have to talk. You don't have to show your face. You could play with us. Well, that sounds a little erotic, but you could play as the audience. We're going to be gaming tomorrow night, 4.5 hours. Going to be all trivia. We poke fun at each other. I invite everybody, every single one of you, to join us. Now, as far as the AEW heels tonight, I heard about 150 took part in it. And again, as I explained on Wednesday, the idea of charging money is to cover some of the expenses, because this does cost some money, but also to weed out, you want a select group of people. If you make it free, you'll have 5,000 people showing up on Zoom chats. What are you going to do? Seriously, what do you do if 5,000 women show up for AEW heels? Their Zoom box that should be this size would probably be the size of, I don't know, like a quarter of this. I mean, $49 a year is not a lot of money. It's about $4 a month. You get to interact with AEW women, from Brandy tonight. I think Aubrey Edwards was on. Anna Jay, I think, was there. And for you and I, maybe those aren't like big, some of them big names. But, if someone could charge even $50, think about this for a minute. Just think about this for a minute. I get why Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks and Ric Flair and Roman Reigns and others charge $300, $400, $500 for a 1 to 1.5 minute Zoom call. Because if they make it really, really cheap, they'll have hundreds. And I know what you're all going to say, well, that's great. You get hundreds of requests. That's a lot of money. It's also a lot of time. So you make it higher, so you basically weed out, and you get the most dedicated of the dedicated. Plain and simple. But you mean to tell me that it's okay for Sasha Banks or Alexa Bliss to charge $300, $400 for a 1 minute video? And yet AEW is charging $49 for an entire year. Just imagine if you take that, even if it was only 60 minutes tonight, you divide that, compared to a Zoom call. Are you kidding me? Why are people getting all in an uproar over this? And what disturbs me about it is they had the chat today, and two women that are fans and friends of this show was actually part of the Zoom and gave me a lot of the info as far as what was talked about and everything. And the one thing that they both said, and they don't know each other, is that everybody had a great time. Everybody just loved to interact, didn't have any toxicity whatsoever, no wise asses, nobody like dressing up as a woman like Bobby Heenan did on Raw. $49 for an entire year is not a lot of money. And almost everybody out there complaining is either a man or not even an AEW fan. It's almost like, and look, me, I don't, what do they call that? Virtual signaling, or I don't do any of that crap. I don't even pay attention to that stuff. But I'll say this, there are men out there that do feel like their manlyhood is hurt when a woman actually does something more superior. And I'm not even bringing up intergender wrestling, but my point is that I think some men out there, like AEW heels, indirectly took a shot at their manlyhood, because here is something now they're not allowed to be part of. They're not welcome. They want to tell off and speak their mind and write and say all this horrible stuff. No, you're not welcome. And you had to see. Look at the last 72 hours. Take a shot every time some of your favorites on social media talked about Brandy or talked about AEW heels. Take a shot. You'll be wasted in about 30 seconds. It's unbelievable for a woman, a promotion, and a membership. It's a fan club. Plain and simple. There's no other way to put it. It's a fan club. You don't want to be part of it, fine. It's a fucking fan club. If they want to make a little money off of it, so fucking what? If they're giving everybody a lot of time and an area to go and socialize and just talk wrestling without having all of this, as some people call it, sausage fest lingering over them, so what? People are just in withdrawal, that there is something that they're not allowed to be part of. When you see somebody's internet go down, you ever watch social media for some people when the internet goes down for a half an hour? And they just they want, seriously, if you gave them one of the Retribution people tonight, you gave that person their weapons, they would show up at Verizon Fios or Spectrum and start shooting people and breaking doors down. My internet is out. I can't tweet. I can't do this. I can't do that. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, Chris, Mish and I will probably debate Sunday on Breakfast Soup on Patreon. Yeah, look, if that's a topic, that our Patreon family wants us to tackle, you know, kind of reminds me a little bit about the Conrad stuff. Nobody's breaking anybody's arm, but it's a fan club, plain and simple. And that's why you had 150 people there tonight and not 1,500. You know, if you're that dedicated and you want to interact, you got to pay a couple of bucks out of your pocket. $4 a month, and then you're not going to complain when somebody charges even $100 for a 1-minute cameo video. Just think. You're getting a whole year and you're complaining. It's stupid. It's stupid. There's a lot of other things in this world to complain about. That I don't think is one of them, in my opinion. So, by the way, I don't think Tommaso Ciampa really could move around like that. And Dijakovic is, I think, way too big compared to those Retribution people tonight. But a lot of people on social media are taking note that Dijakovic and Ciampa have deleted almost all of their tweets. All right, they scrubbed their pages. Now, sure, look, I know some of you are going to think, oh, maybe there's some controversial stuff and they're afraid, to be brought back up from years ago. No, it's nothing like that of the sort. So right away, people are thinking, hey, maybe they're part of this Retribution storyline. I mean, you see the way those people were going today. It seemed like 19-year-old, it looked like children running after an ice cream truck. Don't leave! I need my snow cone! I mean, I don't think, $4 a month. Dorian says that's what Russo charged. I've been a member of the brand for about 4 or 5 years. Many, many years I've been a member of the brand, you know. You want to give a little back to something and get some stuff in return? Nothing wrong with that. Just my opinion. Look, if you disagree, I respect you. Just respect how I feel about it as well. But, for people thinking that Dijakovic and Ciampa might be part of Retribution, don't get me wrong. I would love to see Ciampa as a part of this. I just don't think it's going to happen. You look at, these can't be stunt doubles. You know what I mean? You can't have 5-foot midgets running around, just running around like and then they reveal to be like, I don't think it's gonna happen, to be honest with you. So thank you, Michael. Thank you for the kind words, my friend. I appreciate it. I just try to be myself, and if people like it, good. People don't like it, what can I say? Now, later on, this week in wrestling history, that is a teaser of what we're going to be talking about. As you can see, some very important memories, important moments in wrestling history does take place this week. Good thing about it is it only take me about 10 minutes to get into it, but that's a little teaser of some stuff that happened this week in wrestling history. So I figured I'd share with you. We also got to send our thoughts and prayers. Somebody passed away in the world of pro wrestling, and I know a lot of you out there, you probably never heard of this guy before. His name is Mitch Ryder, Marvelous Mitch Ryder. He wrestled pretty much for IWA Mid-South, Chikara Pro. I actually have an audio clip that I was a little bit debating if I should share it because it might actually trigger some people, but I said, let's play it. He died at the age of 48, and that's a picture of him. You look at him close, he kind of gives me a vibe. It's like a combination of Mr. Anderson and Jeff Jarrett, if you actually look at him. But if you look on social media, from Drew Gulak to Lince Dorado to Cassius Ono, Chris Hero, and some others, this guy was a trainer. He was a wrestler. He had his own promotion for a while, and he died only at the age of 48. So, and the thing is, he actually worked CZW for a little while. He worked CZW right around the time that XPW left Philadelphia. And, it's an interesting cat, without a doubt. And, man, I of course, he's not known for his CZW career, but if you look at who is the number of people who have passed away in the last 8 months related to CZW, had some decent careers there. It's kind of like blowing your mind. I mean, it's not, it was the CZW lifestyle. It has nothing to do with that, but it hits home on our area. Some really, really wonderful tributes online from wrestlers out there. But if you want me to share one with you right now, this is Chikara Pro, 2007, 13 years ago. He actually fought Lince Dorado and basically cut a promo on Lince Dorado before his match. Now, I didn't want to do the video because I didn't want to have any problems with copyright or anything like that. But I'm just going to share you just a 2-minute promo just to give you an idea as far as, you know, what this guy's gimmick was and everything. And plus, I kind of like enjoyed the promo, and you'll see why as soon as I share it now.
You know, normally this is when you see Mitch Ryder ranting and raving and screaming, face red. But you know, I've got something very serious to talk about today, something very near and dear to my heart. You see, let me tell you a story, people. A couple years ago, Mitch Ryder was down wrestling in Mexico, saddled up to the bar, knocking back some Coronas, as I often do. And I got in a conversation with a fella that was a plantain farmer down there in Juarez, and he said, I understand that you're a luchador professional wrestler. I said, yeah, that's exactly right. He said, well, on my plantain farm, I've got a boy, and this boy is an unbelievable athlete. He can do all this stuff and flips and rolls and high-flying things, and I think that he can be a great luchador. He can be a great wrestler someday. He said, would you please come take a look at him? Wasn't doing anything else. He'd already bought me a couple Coronas. Why not? So I go out to the plantain farm and I take a look at this boy. Sure enough, he's everything his father said he was. An incredible athlete, unbelievable balance, unbelievable timing. He said, can you help him? I said, well, sir, the only thing I can do is ask that you go through the government and you do it legal and you get the guy a work visa and you bring him over, and then, maybe then, I can help you. But you see, I'm a patriot. Mitch Ryder's a good old Memphis, Tennessee American. And I'm not going to let nobody come in this country illegally. But you see, like most of the foreigners, he didn't believe in doing the right thing. He wanted to get his boy on a wrestling card so bad that he was willing to break any laws necessary to do it.
Lince Dorado's an illegal alien.
All of a sudden, here I am at Chikara, and I see this masked wrestler that goes by the name of Lince Dorado, and the bulb goes off. And suddenly I realize that Lince Dorado is the very same plantain farmer from down in Juarez, Mexico that I seen a couple years before. Now, good people of America, Chikara fans, wrestling fans throughout the world, I'm here to plead to you. Don't you jump on this guy's bandwagon. He is an illegal alien. He is an immigrant that has entered into this country and taken jobs away from good old-fashioned Americans like me and you, tax-paying citizens. Well, I vow to you, and I vow to you, Lince Dorado, I will do whatever it takes by any means necessary to get you back to Juarez, Mexico. Back to the banana farm where you came from. You have chosen the wrong one. I stand for what's right. Whether you people believe it or not, I could be the only true patriot left. Dorado, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to humiliate you. And I'm going to send you back to Mexico where you belong.
He lost. But, you know, look. You know there's no other show out there other than maybe a wrestler who worked for this guy or, you know, interacted. Nobody's going to pay tribute to this guy. How many deaths have we honored this year that everybody just ignored because it would only give them maybe 1 or 2 likes on social media? And that's a shame. So, you know, over the years, that's one of the easiest storylines to do when you wrestle someone from Mexico. You accuse them of being an illegal alien. You beg the fans, do not get behind this guy. That was his job. His job was to get Lince Dorado over even more. That's what he was as a heel. You know, the more he would do this, the more you would get behind Lince Dorado. And Lince Dorado actually gave him a nice tribute online as well. So I just wanted to share that. You know, rest in peace, 48 years old, younger than me, taken way too soon. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Now, before we get into SmackDown, let's just get into a couple of very, very quick things. I want to nip this in the bud. Some people out there, it's amazing that they run websites and haven't figured this out. I'm going to clear this up once and for all. There's some people out there either intentionally clickbaiting you, or maybe they really are naive to it. See that old website, righttocensor.com? That was when the Right to Censor, and if you remember, I think 2 weeks ago was the anniversary that they formed. If you actually click that, type that domain in right now, it leads you to the AEW website. So you have websites out there clickbaiting and saying that AEW owns righttocensor.com. It's not true. This is a fact, all right? And because I've been running my own website since 1999, I know all the ins and outs. I used to have something with TNA back in the day. I had various domains because at one point I thought, oh, I'll just pick up these old domains, and when people search for them, I'll get, it'll redirect. When you buy a domain name, okay, like I own DonTony.com. I also own a few other domain names as well. And the thing is when I buy the domain, which might be $10 a year, I have the option to have that domain link to my website, or if I don't have a website, I can have it link to my YouTube page. How many of you out there, for people that are podcasters, and I'm not saying this negative, this will prove it to you. How many of you out there follow podcasts that are on Twitter, and you'll click on their domain name, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah.com. And when you click on the domain name, you're on the YouTube page. How does that happen? Because when they buy the domain, they're telling the company that sold them the domain and the hosting that you want that domain to redirect to the YouTube channel. I could take my website right now, DonTony.com, type in 2 sentences on GoDaddy, and have my website redirect to AEW. Does that mean that AEW owns DonTony.com? This is a fan from the South that bought righttocensor.com and is a fan of AEW. He went on his company where it hosts the domain, and he put in there to have it redirect to AEW's website. Righttocensor.com is not owned by AEW. It's not owned by Tony Khan. This is a regular wrestling fan who just typed in, because he doesn't have a website, he could have Right to Censor forward to me if he wants. That's all it is. So for all of these people out there, they're either clickbaiting you and they know this already, or they're just ignorant about it. This is like website 101. So I just figured I'd want to just clear that up, because some of you out there actually were buying it, the Kool-Aid, the news. Matt Hardy, we talked about it on Wednesday. We figured that he got busted open from that chair shot by Sammy Guevara. This is the damage. Now, if you look closely, yeah, he had to get multiple stitches in his head. There was some websites today saying that Sammy Guevara got a lot of heat backstage because Guevara picked up the wrong chair. He was supposed to pick up one of the regular chairs that people usually do when they hit people in the back and stuff. He was supposed to throw that at Matt Hardy, couldn't find the chair, and because everything is boom, 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 he picked up a much heavier chair and it connected with Matt Hardy's head. As far as Guevara getting heat, I don't buy that at all. I'm sure Guevara felt extremely guilty about what happened and apologized to Matt Hardy immediately. Obviously we're not supposed to know that online, and I don't want to know it because that blood just amped that match between the two. It's got to be a street fight now when they do have it. So I just wanted to just share that with everybody as well. A couple of super chats out there. A. Espinosa, yeah, with the Wrestling Antifa. Yeah, I will do it in my Vince voice. Hopefully Vince, some people out there are going to like what they saw tonight, but hopefully a majority of people out there really looked at it closely and, going to give it what it deserves. If it was great, I'd commend it. There was a couple of things about SmackDown tonight that I liked a lot. Some I didn't. But hopefully Vince sees what happened today and he goes to the creative me next week and about that song, we're gonna shake it up. You know, I was not feeling it. Rain Entertainment, thank you again, my brother. Thank you for the kind words. And Austin Kinkle gave him a little bit of an Aces and 0.8 flashback. I don't think Dana Brooke and Carmella would be members. Maybe Dana Brooke, but I just, you know, it would be interesting. And it might be, you know, look, you ever see, and this is, I know it's not meant to be Antifa, but look at it this way. When WWE says this is not really supposed to be like Antifa, that's the same thing in 2000 and whatever it was, 3, when they did the whole, you know, storyline with Muhammad Hassan and putting Daivari on the shoulders of all those masked people walking out, and everybody thought it was Al-Qaeda or whatever the group was at the time. No, they were just sympathizers. They weren't dressed as terrorists. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. But, you know, the reason why I say this is because you ever see the mugshots of some of the people in Antifa? These people, I mean, I'm sure that there's some regular looking folk in there as well. But for some reason, a lot of the mugshots that pop up online are wacky. I mean, they're just all whacked out. And you know, you pull that mask off, they got to look like derelicts. They can't, you know, it just, I don't know. Look, it's still a very new storyline. Look at Raw Underground. You know, I love debating. I never used to like it when I was younger. Now I crave it. I crave debating. If you see on the synopsis, sometimes when I do shows with another co-host, I'll write debate about this because I'm preparing in my mind, okay, let's have a debate. You know, I feel this way about something. You feel this way about something. You know, let's be passionate. Tell how we feel and why we feel that way, and let's just battle it out. And, you know, Monday I expected that about the Raw Underground because I know my co-hosts did not like it at all. And I thought it would be a really nice, intense debate. And halfway through the discussion, it was like, you know, I'm going to watch it next week, and, you know, maybe I'll have a different view, or I'm going to watch it again, this and that, you know, and it's like, okay, air out of the balloon, you know, it's not going to be a debate. Mish and I, Sunday, if we talk about Brandy and AEW heels, that'll be a heated debate. But the thing is that, you know, with some of what you're seeing, you know, there's got to be different sides to look at it. And when I talked about Raw Underground on Monday, I just came point blank. I liked it. It's different. It's got an underground feel to it. It's not going to be, you know, don't expect people to really punch each other in the mouth and breaking teeth and this and that. It's still wrestling at the end of the day. They're just trying to make it more raw underground. Now CM Punk says he likes it. Now other people are coming out there and say they like it. Mike Bennett even came out and said he liked it. A lot of people came out and said they liked it. I thought about it more and more. What did I say on Monday? I think that's perfect for Bobby Lashley. I wrote that even before the end of Raw when Lashley showed up there. I think that could help Nia Jax. I think Shayna Baszler would be perfect there. You could go down the line, especially that there's no ropes. You could have some people really do well in that. You give it a week or two, all the people that tweet fucked about hating it are now all of a sudden going to love it. You mark my words. So I'm praising the Raw Underground, but this Retribution stuff tonight, no, it did not work all that great. And let's see, Neil Ray, SmackDown needs a huge refresh. I agree. Now, you know, tonight we had something interesting. You know, we had this. Ooh, Alexa Bliss kind of acted a little bit attracted to the Fiend, you know, and then the Fiend backed off a little bit. You know, did she do that for reverse psychology? Kind of like when Daniel Bryan was going to join the Wyatt family way back when? Is she trying to get to his soft side? Is this going to be like a King Kong and whatever that girl's name was at that time? Or is she going to be full-fledged heel and be in the corner of Bray Wyatt? People out there, please stop with the Sister Abigail stuff. Alexa Bliss's name value is big and it's strong. She may not be the best wrestler in that ring, but her name value is extremely strong. They're not going to get rid of the Alexa Bliss name and change it to Sister Abigail just so that we can have 100 people on social media, right? Told you! Told you! Told you! So, but I like it. I like the way it went today. And I'm not gonna deny it, man. Couple of weeks ago, I gave praise for Braun Strowman for cutting the promo of his life. Remember, he was in the ring and he was angry and everything, and it just like there was a proverbial gun pointed to like a loved one's head. Promo, motherfucker! Open your mouth! Talk! Emotion! Dance! Spider dance! And he cut the promo of his life. I'm not gonna lie to you. I loved that promo tonight. Yeah, I got to point this way. It's always the opposite direction. If I'm trying to point this way, I actually got to point this way. That was the promo of the year for Braun Strowman, not of wrestling, period. I thought tonight's promo was even better because it felt authentic. It felt like he is angry. He is a sick son of a bitch. Now, the problem is, does he deliver in the ring? You know, I honestly thought his promo tonight was excellent. Excellent. That tone of voice in Braun Strowman, we don't hear really ever. I mean, you know, he used to do the over the top, just like all of you, talking about the fans. I hate Roman Reigns. You know, tonight, it was a little different. I enjoyed it. And you know what? Even though we criticized Otis last week with the bobblehead stuff, him getting angry and saying, yo, I could be a funny guy, I could joke in this and that, but him getting very angry and serious of what Miz and Morrison were joking about Mandy. And if you missed it tonight, there you go. They were doing this. Let me pull his Braun Strowman out of there. See, in the background, they took like a blonde wig and they did an interview with Mandy's hair. I thought the segment was funny, but it went on way too long. Way too long. Sonya Deville delivering again. I kind of thought about it. What do you all think about Sonya Deville being like the 2020 Melina? You know, obviously they're not going to put the red carpet or they're going to do that stuff again, but what about Sonya Deville remaining in the corner? Obviously, it's going to stay like that for a little while because you can already see it. Heavy Machinery and Mandy Rose versus Morrison and Miz and Sonya Deville. I really liked Otis getting serious tonight. I thought, you know, overall, the SmackDown tonight, even though I criticized the hell out of the Retribution stuff, I thought tonight's SmackDown was actually pretty decent. I'll get into it match by match. I guess we could get into it now. And, you know, then we'll cover a few other things. But, you know, let's talk about tonight a little bit. So we had SmackDown open up tonight. Let me just pull up my notes because I took a few notes because a couple of things caught my eye. We had the recap of the Swamp fight with Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, and the Firefly Funhouse opened up. And he said that he was going to be there tonight, and the Fiend was there tonight, as I showed you earlier. I wonder how many of you out there thought that the Fiend was going to get on the mic. You know, when he did that whole entrance and everything, I mean, yeah, it was kind of lame. They cut to a commercial and they cut back, and Alexa Bliss is in the ring. You know, it's, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to nitpick about that. But I wonder if anybody out there thought, like, okay, he's in the ring now. What is he going to do next? I wonder if anybody out there thought that he was going to get on the mic, because I don't want the Fiend cutting a promo. I don't even want to hear, let me in. I don't want to hear nothing. You know, you want to do it as a soundbite, you know, okay. You know, with the mask, 3 words, that's fine. But, you know, on the microphone, last week on SmackDown, yeah, oh, no. And even if I could do it perfect, no. So anyway, he basically wants a shot at Braun Strowman's title at SummerSlam. They recap what happened with Alexa Bliss last week. And, you know, not a bad opening segment. Matt Riddle beating Sheamus, DQ. Now, some people were confused later on in the night. And if you think I'm lying, just do a social media search. Because even though I have tons of people on mute, I do a general search just to see some fan reaction to certain things. Unfortunately, because I had to do this show tonight right after SmackDown, I really didn't get a chance to see what the overall reaction is about, you know, the Retribution segment tonight. But people were confused during SmackDown tonight. Later on in the show, they were saying, wait a minute, is Matt Riddle a heel or a face? And then some people were like, is Sheamus a heel or a face now? Because it kind of felt a little bit like maybe they're kind of tweaking Sheamus a little bit. It was a little confusing tonight. No, Dayak, I don't think we need to do the Green Giant thing tonight. You know, Braun Strowman, all he did was cut a promo. You know, it's not like act like he was wrestling or anything tonight, but I can't complain about his promo tonight. I know some people were joking around with this, and I kind of laughed at it too, because if you actually look at this up close, Braun Strowman is watching you masturbate. Some people will get that. But that, yeah, I kind of see why people would joke about that, but it was a damn good promo. Honestly, he did his job tonight. But Matt Riddle beating Sheamus by DQ. It was a decent match. They were bringing up how Corey Graves had interviewed Matt Riddle, and this was sort of a dream match for him with Sheamus, which was pretty cool to hear. But we end up getting interference. Basically, we had Shorty G get involved. We had the King, with the bounty. So basically, they're having a decent match. And then the next thing you know, Shorty G, and they're still calling him Shorty G for everybody out there. Oh, next week he's going to be Chad Gable. Chad Gable. Did he look like Chad Gable at the end of the segments tonight? Not only did he get his ass handed to him from Matt Riddle, he got his ass handed to him from Sheamus as well. So Shorty G comes out there, causes a disqualification. And then after the disqualification, Sheamus is furious at Shorty G for interfering because Shorty G was trying to collect the ransom. So Sheamus is like, you fucking interfere with my match to try to collect the ransom. He gives a couple of bro kicks to Shorty G, knocks his ass out. Riddle, hit him as well. Shorty G looked like crap after everything was done, to be honest with you. And then Sheamus has a little confrontation with with King Corbin in the back. And he's like, you do that shit again, you try to put that bounty out during one of my matches. Now, if you think about it, it kind of sounds stupid, because why wouldn't Sheamus just say, I'll collect the bounty, fella. We don't need Shorty G. I'll collect the bounty, fella. Why wouldn't Sheamus want a bounty? Bounty. 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 I'm the bounty. I'm absorbent. I'm clear. I'm strong. I'm the bounty. It's not bounty. It's some generic shit. Anyway, so Sheamus has a little confrontation with King Corbin in the back. And then we realize King Corbin is going to face bounty later. Face it. I'm the bounty. I never ever, it's funny, in all the years of the Mountie, this is the first time in my entire life I ever thought to myself, I'm the bounty. I'm subtle, I'm strong. I never ever thought of bounty, seriously. Yeah, I know, this show's going a little off the rails. So we get the dirt sheet, and we get Miz and Morrison. And they're doing this interview with Mandy's hair. And look, I've said it before. Miz and Morrison as the annoying, almost like college guys that like ribbing people and goofing on people. And because they look great, they probably smell great, they're strong, they could back it up. It's like you got to sit there and take it, you know? So they're making fun of Mandy's hair because of what happened last week. I like the segment when it went on way too long. Then they bring out Sonya Deville. And Sonya Deville cutting another awesome promo. But I am still concerned, and I've brought this up before. When she had that very quick schmaz with Lacey Evans, that same passion and fire was not there. And there's a simple reason for it. It's not Sonya Deville's fault. And I've said this many times in the last few months. When you could take real life and put that in a storyline, it gets much easier to be passionate and be strong because you're really venting on, you know, how something that feels very close to home. Her with Lacey Evans, it's just storyline feud. So how do you get that fire and that emotion that really sets you off? So I continue to say what I've been saying about Sonya Deville for 6 months. You think back at how long ago, you know, she had that, you know, match with Mandy Rose. You know, they're brawling in the ring. This feud cannot go on forever. What happens to Sonya Deville after this feud? Are these promos are going to be that's a challenge. That's a challenge. But I thought Sonya Deville was very solid on the mic today. She is just out to ruin Mandy Rose, to show how ugly she is on the inside by making her look ugly on the outside. She even brought up Mandy Rose getting the Bumpy Award. So, you know, look, Sonya Deville's storyline is a lot of jealousy as well. You know, there's some of you sick and twisted out there that think that, you know, the storyline's going to lead that she's really sexually attracted to Mandy Rose, and, you know, she'll actually, like, force herself on her. Smoking, seriously. You know, it's like it's some of your fantasies, but I don't think that's happened on TV. So, next, we have a recap of Cesaro and Nakamura winning the tag titles. The Bumpy Award. Bumpy Knuckles. I'm a bad man. I'm a bad man. I used to love that song by Cena. That music video when they spoofed the A-Team, that was awesome. That was some good shit back then. So, we have Cesaro and Nakamura, little segment. You know, look, I know they haven't been tag champs that long, but they've had it for several weeks now. They keep calling them the newly crowned champs. They didn't win it Sunday. They won it many weeks ago. So I don't like this idea. They're just the newly crowned champs. But anyway, Cesaro ends up taking on Lince Dorado and hits the Gotch neutralizer for the win. A decent match. Went very fast. And I guess this does not lead to Cesaro and Nakamura versus, you know, Lucha House Party at SummerSlam. So what do we get next week? Do we get like a four-way with different tag teams now and the winners get a shot? I don't know. It sounds like an Acme Insta-feud is going to have to begin in order to get their opponents, if they even have any, at SummerSlam. So now we get the Fiend, gets his full entrance, hits the ring, commercial break, comes back, Alexa Bliss is there. He's kind of teasing that he's going to give it a mandible claw again. She stops him, and then she starts putting her hand on his face. He backs off, and then we get the Braun Strowman promo. And again, you know, some people thought that segment sucked. I thought it was fine. Big question now is, where does this lead with Alexa Bliss? What happens to Nikki Cross? I mean, I don't know. Maybe Nikki Cross is under the retribution? I don't think so. But what do you all think about Nikki Cross being a maniac under a mask? You know? I don't know. I look, I'm just brainstorming. You know, you look at the list of women that are not on TV right now, and it's not because of COVID-related stuff, because there's just no storyline. You know, you could think of Carmella, you could think of Dana Brooke, you could think of Chelsea Green, you could think of a few names that were brought up from NXT, but, you know, just disappeared. Sorry, those guys look way too small to be the grizzled young, no, wait, not the grizzled young veterans, the forgotten sons of bitches. Forgotten sons of bitches. It ain't them. So, you know, you could basically pick from a very small list of women. But again, you know, I don't know. It just, when they unmask, I mean, if they're extremely small, you know, people are going to laugh. You know, you know what they look like? They look like midget black scorpions. And I think this week is the anniversary of the Black Scorpion debuting, you know, in WCW. I just chose not to cover it this week in wrestling history because it ended up being cacas, let's be honest. They look like midget black scorpions. You know, all you need is Ole Anderson, want a piece of me, want a piece of me. Whatever. Sheamus versus King Corbin confused a lot of people because Matt Riddle came out and caused distraction on King Corbin. Sheamus with the bro kick, 1, 2, 3. King Corbin loses twice tonight. Matt Riddle walking down the rampway in satisfaction, and right away people are like, wait a minute, he helped Sheamus? Wait, is Riddle a heel? No. Riddle's going to be the top babyface on SmackDown till Roman Reigns comes back. But this was just, you know, what does that saying go? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Isn't that what it is? The enemy of my enemy? No, wait. Yeah, I think that might have been. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's pretty close to what that was tonight. All Riddle wanted was revenge on King Corbin. And he got it. Next, Sasha and Bayley are in the back. And they are told to be summoned to the ring. Because Stephanie wants to have a conference call with them. And that was all over the place. But the end of it, I liked. Now, I guess they have to walk like 3 blocks to get to the ring. Because instead of them just hitting the ring, we got a Big E promo, but it was a great promo. Big E talking about, you know, what people are saying, what could have been, you know, and he's talking about his opportunity now to go singles. And he's interacting with Caleb Braxton, and Caleb Braxton's having a good time. He's having a good time. The NXT stars around ringside are very loud. You could hear them. And I tell you, as bad as I say the NXT fans, quote unquote, act sometimes around ringside, I think they could be utilized the best for backstage promos. Because they were so loud and cheering and stuff with Big E, I kind of forgot a little bit that there's only like 24, you know, or so around ringside. I thought that was done the right way. A lot of chat on the Mountie in the chat room. Good for all of you, man. So shout out to Devin. He's tuning in a little bit late. Don't worry, my friend. The show will be under 2 hours today for sure. So you don't have to worry about waiting hours for processing. You'll be able to go back and watch the whole thing. But Big E cut a very entertaining promo. When he kept saying, you know, when Kayla said, dude, they rocks, Big E kept saying, what else? And Kayla's like, no, they rocks. What else? Dude, they... I thought he was trying to get her to say, Big E rocks. Big E rocks. I know it doesn't sound the same, you know, but it was still a great promo. I enjoyed it. Now we get Bayley and Sasha in the ring. Explain to me, if they're doing a Zoom call with Stephanie, why they have their backs facing the camera. Yeah, I know, because it's the hard camera to look at, but it was just goofy. I'm like, turn around, ditzes, you know, the camera's over there. So Stephanie's on the Titantron, and this was a mess. 3/4 of this was a mess, a hot mess, because Stephanie is giving them all these accolades and this and that. She congratulates them. And then she, you know, she starts berating them a little bit for their actions, talking about Bayley putting the referee shirt on and, Sasha getting around the rules and this and that. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're the one that came up with the fucking stipulation with Asuka, and you didn't say nothing about the fact that Bayley was in the back beating the crap out of Kairi Sane. So, Stephanie's out, which is kind of what Roberto said earlier. Roberto, you believe it? Look, I got to mention your name again last time on this dollar signs. What did Roberto say earlier? Don't take it too seriously. It's just wrestling. Stephanie's, the equivalent of that with Stephanie, she could say the dumbest shit on camera, but then she could say, but I'm not going to get angry. I'm a McMahon. It's like, it's the easy way out. Something doesn't make sense. It's stupid. Hey, how can I complain? I'm a McMahon. So you have Bayley talking about how the locker room is jealous of them. Sasha says that they know what's best for business. They want to be role models for women and for little kids, just like Stephanie's daughters. And Bayley even plugs the WWE Network to try to basically get under, the good graces of Stephanie. And then Stephanie says that Sasha Banks will defend her championship at SummerSlam. Remember, on Raw Monday, Asuka has the opportunity. She will beat Bayley. And because of that, she will face Sasha at SummerSlam. That'll cause a little dissension between Bayley and Sasha Banks, you see on Monday. And as far as Bayley, what do you do about Bayley? Hashtag give Naomi a chance? No. But she could possibly win next week. Possibly. Who's Bayley going to fight? Well, Stephanie announces a triple brand battle royal. Raw, Smackdown, not Retribution, but NXT. Next week, we are going to have stars from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT in a battle royale. The winner faces Bayley at SummerSlam. I don't know if you put an NXT star in there against Bayley, but I think that is an excellent idea. Doing something like this allows Bayley to fight someone that is not on SmackDown. In my honest opinion, nothing against any SmackDown women right now. But if you do a battle royal and then a SmackDown woman wins anyway, why didn't you just do like a battle royal or some type of elimination match featuring the SmackDown women? Hey, you give Carmella a chance, Dana Brooke a chance. I mean, they're all probably going to be in the battle royal anyway, but you give a little more focus on your own brand. So the fact that they're doing this battle royal tells me that it could possibly be somebody from NXT. And Roberto, look, it's nothing personal, and I don't ever want you to hit that super chat stuff. Everybody out there, I appreciate that you tune in. I appreciate you support this. Always be vocal. Always speak out. You agree with me, cool. You disagree with me, cool. But, I just want everybody to interact. Have a good time. Don't take it too seriously. And, I'm here for all of you. Not here, to hear myself talk. I'm not here for other podcasters because, honestly, they could give two shits about me. And, it's nothing personal. But, when I do my thing, I do it for all of you. It's almost as if everybody's in the same room and we're just talking about wrestling. I've been doing this since 97. This was my format in 97. I just talk terrible. I got to put, maybe next week I'll put on here like 5 minutes of my hotline audio from 22 years ago. I have a lot of because believe it or not, I'll be very quick with this because I promise going forward, we tighten these shows. I'm not going to get on these long, boring rants anymore. But true story. I started my wrestling hotline in 1997 and it blew up big. I bought the domain wrestling-news.com off of someone in 1999. And I was doing a lot of wrestling news. I also had Tombstone Radio, which played wrestling theme music online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Thank God nobody ever tried to sue me for copyright because it was free for everybody. But I had thousands of themes playing 24/7. If you want a good look at what my website used to look like back then, Google Wayback Machine, because that's a website where you could type in any domain address and see what that website looked at like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You go back and look at WWF.com from 20 years ago, you got to see some of this stuff. And some of the links still work because they archive it. So if you check out my website from like 2002, go there and type in wrestling-news.com from 2002 and look at it. It's pretty cool. But in 1999, I was doing only wrestling hotlines here in New York, and I did it from a cordless phone. And people always wanted to tune in out of state, but it was long distance charges. Back then, you had 1010 collect, 1-800-collect, or 1010 220 or whatever that crap was. And a lot of people, it cost them, even though my hotline was free, it cost them money for long distance. So I said, you know what? Let me take one of these audio, I just happen to have one handy. Take one of these audio jacks. It's not the right one, but I'll plug it in the side, because you know a lot of cordless phones, it has like the headphone jack where you could plug it in. I took it and plugged it in the headphone jack, and I took the other side and I plugged it into my computer, and I recorded the audio, and I put it online for everybody to hear my hotline reports. Did that in 1999, way before podcasting. I still have the hard drive. So I have hotline reports from 23 years ago. You listen to me from the late 90s on my hotline, you'll say to yourself, how the hell was this guy like the number one hotline in the United States? I am the worst of the worst. Goof to the umpteenth power. But I think some of you may actually get a good laugh out of it. So maybe I'll do that next week. I'll put a little bit of hotline audio on you. You can hear yours truly from the late 90s talking about wrestling news. So anyway, so next week we got the triple brand battle royale. I like it. It's definitely fresh. Hopefully we don't see 20 people get eliminated in 2 minutes, because a lot of battle royals seem to have that a lot. But I like it. I like it. I hope they announce the participants earlier. I hope we hear some women from NXT hyping this up on Wednesday this week. And thank you, Psycho. Thank you for the kind words. And yeah, if everybody else out there, give one of these, it'd be awesome. By the way, did you see the new Don Tony show banner over here? Shaheen Nuclear Heat, shout out to him. A lot of you out there kept saying to me, DT, we'd like a little bit bigger screen of you and a little less of all this background shit. So if you notice, I actually don't have to go like this as much to show the shirts. So he actually gave a little bit bigger room. And I don't know if you all like this, but I started playing around with banner designs for YouTube. I actually made this myself, and you might have seen Wednesday. I did well, actually, you can see a little bit of Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite there, and those are the ratings. We'll get into that in a moment. But, let me know, any ideas that you may think would look better. I'm always out to hear everybody's suggestions. So anyway, we get the main event. And, it was Heavy Machinery versus Miz and Morrison. And, it was decent while it lasted. But then we had everything happen with Retribution. Obviously, no reason for me to get into that again. The only thing I will say is that everybody got chased to the back. Some people around the ringside area got assaulted, as I said earlier. But, to me, it went on way too long. The people under the mask did not look inferior whatsoever, and when you drop your weapons to punch somebody sideways, that's pretty much sold it for me. Like, okay, yeah, no, not feeling it. It probably will pop a little bit of a rating because it's a train wreck. People just want to look, but I don't know where it goes from here. There better be some huge names under those masks, and unfortunately, if you look at the size of them, I don't know, man. Is it going to be people from Santos Escobar? Remember those masked people? I know the two of them unmasked, but I don't know. So that was pretty much SmackDown. I thought it was a decent show. Some of the segments were a little bit cacas, but overall, you could see, Riddle is, the future of SmackDown. He is going to be the number one babyface. It's going to be interesting when Roman Reigns comes back. Something tells me we're going to see a Riddle Reigns feud a little bit. Would not surprise me if we see a Reigns Riddle. I know what you're going to say. Oh, those are both baby faces, but it's definitely possible. Shout out to Philip Manfi. Hopefully you want to actually like put a message, but thank you very much, my friend. That's pretty cool of you to do. So, can we talk briefly about ratings? And we still got plenty of time. I want to go to 12:05, which will be exactly 2 hours. Maybe we'll finish a couple of minutes early. Who knows? But let's talk a little bit about ratings this week. AEW and NXT. Got the quarterly hour breakdowns as well. Oh, and there's some big news. Big news. Big news. Executive news. Doesn't have to do with AEW. As far as their personnel. Some people are trying to compare it to AOL Time Warner. Anybody that writes that, make sure you look at their employment background, because if it's just someone that sits on social media all day long begging for your attention, I would not put weight on that, because remember, a lot of these goofs doing the AOL Time Warner comparison are the same ones that said UK wrestling is dead, that NXT UK is dead. Remember that? NXT UK is history. Then the announcement. Oh, this is the announcement. It's dead. Oh no, it's not. Oh, these people don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand business. WWE releases a bunch of people because they're an entertainment company and they can't use 60, 70 people on TV during COVID since they're not traveling. And you got people out there, but Ring of Honor didn't let anybody go, but New Japan didn't let anybody go. That's why they're not worth billions, and WWE is. I'm not kissing the ass of WWE, but again, you're taking business advice from people who are unemployed, sitting on social media all day long. What's stopping them from going out and getting a job? Seriously. So please do not pay attention to those people. But it is something concerning to bring up. Let me bring up Philip. I may have to owe you one, because I have a feeling you didn't mean to do a double over here. He thinks that Retribution section was kind of boring and not so impressive. I agree with you, man. I agree 100%. I understand the tapings, it's very hard to do retakes days later once everything is in the bag and it wasn't live. So it makes you wonder. I will say, if people out there want me to compliment the Retribution storyline tonight in any way, I will compliment it for one thing tonight: camera work. When they, quote unquote, assaulted the cameramen around ringside and took their cameras, they had that one camera from the upper area, and they pretty much used that one camera for a little while. So imagine if you would have had, like we see on Raw and SmackDown, but Raw more than anything. Imagine if you would have had all these multiple camera shots every time one of these Retributions did so. That would be that would just, I would have vomited, I think, on this show. I would have legitimately probably vomited. He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke. Seriously, I would have gotten nauseous. So if we want to commend something about tonight, the camera work. I think the camera work was probably a lot better. So give him credit for that, because that was smart. So anyway, before I get into the ratings, I definitely want to bring this up. Not going to spend a lot of time on it, because we really don't know how TNT views AEW, WarnerMedia, okay? But this is a pretty big story to monitor. Look, some people are going to tweet bait you, clickbait you into doom and gloom. Some people are going to cover it up and say, nothing to see here, nothing. My advice to you is to not think that AEW is going to be dead because of this, or AEW may have to find a new home, because that could end up being. Right now, my honest advice, and believe me, I think back to AOL Time Warner, and I remember when Fusion was going to buy it and everything. I remember how everything went down. I also remember how when AOL and Time Warner merged and basically Ted Turner was no longer the bigwig, that wanted wrestling on the Turner networks, they just wanted out of wrestling. We don't know if that's the case with WarnerMedia, but my strongest advice to you is just monitor this. Just monitor it. See this guy right here on the right? You may have never seen him before. His name is Kevin Reilly. Kevin Reilly started working as head of TNT and TBS in 2014. In May of 2019, he signed a new 4-year contract for WarnerMedia, excuse me, not Turner Media, WarnerMedia. And even though he signed that 4-year deal last year, him, along with this guy by the name of Bob Greenblatt, are gone from WarnerMedia. Now, these are not only bigwigs for WarnerMedia. This guy that you see on your screen right now is the guy that gave the go for AEW to be on TNT. That is the guy. So if you want to compare names or people of position to 2001, you could almost say that this was the Ted Turner of WarnerMedia, because he actually gave the green light for AEW to be on TNT. This guy is gone. He's no longer, this all went down, I think, today. And there was some other changes in management as well. This is a big deal. Roberto, man, now, dude, you have to do this, seriously. There's a bobblehead in here. Trust me, there's a bobblehead in here. You want to send me like an address, even if you don't want to send me your home address, any shipping address, I send one out to you from me. So you don't have to do that, my friend. I appreciate that. And he probably thinks I'm trolling him right now because I actually didn't put his super chat up there. But come on, man, you didn't need to do that. I'm still trolling him. Well, I'll answer Neil's question in a second. But wait, why is Roberto's thing not showing up? I swear, what do you do? Take it back? I swear to God, it's not showing up on my thing. I don't know why. You know what? It will. It will. He sent a really generous super chat just now, but I really appreciate that. I'm sure it's going to pop up any second. So that's funny, man. Holy shit. I don't know why it's not popping up, but it will. It will. So, but thank you. Very nice of you. But seriously, if you want it, it's yours. So can't give you this though. Remember, we give this away Wednesday, duly signed from the Young Bucks. But that was very kind of you. Thank you. And you know, I will definitely buy myself. What was that? Chipotle. Tomorrow, I'll buy myself some Chipotle. I'm kidding. So, this guy on your screen. Definitely keep this monitored. It did pop up. His didn't pop up. No, I know Neil's popped up, but no, I don't think his popped up. You know what I'll do? I just closed it, and I'm going to reload this. Yeah, it didn't pop up. It will. It will. So, but anyway, I'm shouting him out. So, yeah, that's weird. I mean, everybody else's did. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe my computer are big executives in WarnerMedia. They are out as of today. Now, I'm going to read you a little paragraph from one of these newsy outlets out there. And this is why I say to everybody out there, monitor this story. Oh, I can't see it because it's a super sticker. I think he's the first to ever put a super sticker up there. Thank you, Phil. So you know what? Since it's not a super chat, no, I'm kidding. Seriously, PM me, Twitter, email me, dontony@dontony.com. In fact, I'll hook you up with a whole bunch of stuff like mouse pads, coffee mugs. I'll hook you up, man. Thank you, Phil. I want to read you 4 or 5 sentences. And this is why you should monitor this story. Hollywood Reporter said that the series of moves will prioritize HBO Max and streamline Warner's content operations. There will be a newly created studios and networks group which will combine content studios and programming across Warner, TNT, TBS, True TV, HBO, and HBO Max. The group will oversee all WarnerMedia TV series and film development, production, and programming. And now they're basically going to review what content they want to have in the future for TNT and TBS and True TV and others. Now, do I think there's going to be a tremendous shift in the programming? No, I don't think so. Because TNT, they're not, you can't even say AEW hemorrhaging money, because whether WCW was hemorrhaging money or having a profit, AOL Time Warner, they did not want wrestling on their network. They were done. Remember the infamous quote by Diamond Dallas Page? It's your number one show, and you're getting rid of it. So do not spell doom for AEW. Anybody else out there doing that? My honest opinion to you also, monitor this story because it's an important one, because obviously AEW, you might even see a little shift in their programming to try to really get under the good graces of the new group. Because remember, this new group has nothing to do with AEW going on TNT. So they now have to set a new relationship with all new people. This is a big deal with that. But anybody out there sending you doom and gloom, my advice to you is, as I said, remember I said earlier, click on people's profiles and see what kind of work they do. And if they're just unemployed, sitting on a computer all day long and not even trying to get a job, don't take business advice from them. But anybody who gives you doom and gloom, see if they're even an AEW fan out there. Because if they're just shitting on AEW, from AEW heels to this, there's a lot of people out there that just want to gossip negativity all day long. Until people start ripping on them, then it's, oh, can't we all just get along? So don't even pay attention to it. Monitor this story. Roberto, you can email me, dontony@dontony.com, with any shipping address. Or if you're on Twitter, you can PM me @DonTonyD. Any shipping address, even if it's a UPS store. But just make sure you pick it up, because no bullshit. About a month ago, I offered one of my old mixers that I used to do for the shows. I offered it to anybody that wanted it. Somebody took it, and the person lived in Canada. So I did the shipping, and it was like $70 to ship it. I shipped it, and it ends up, he shipped it to a UPS store in Walmart. Well, guess what? They can't find the package. I can't even put in a claim for it, because I only put that it was $20, because I didn't know if he was going to get hit with customs charges. So you put the value very low. So if somebody gets hit with a custom charge, I usually reimburse them for it. I didn't want them to get hit with a big charge. So I wrote gift. What am I going to claim now? So, Jay Carlos, thank you, my brother. This is not a super sticky. So I can actually post this. Thank you very much, my friend. He says, I have the best podcast on YouTube. Look, man, I know I'm not in the league of a lot of the regular video guys out there that I always shout out. But, one thing is I will always give you my effort, and I do pay attention to what everybody says out there and what everybody's feedback is. And I will tweak the shows based on, what the overall consensus is and some of the things I do. I'll be honest with you. I thought I was going to eliminate the history part altogether. I didn't think anybody would really like it all that much, but people loved the very condensed 5-10 minute version of it. And I still have to put work together, because, putting the banner together is not easy, but also, trying to sift out like what we want to get into and not get into. that's a challenge sometimes. But I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So, so monitor that story with WarnerMedia. I keep saying Turner Media, but do I spell doom and gloom? No. You got to remember too, there are many more networks out there now than there was in 2001. Makes you wonder why Impact Wrestling had such a hard time getting, some opportunity. And they ended up on Axis. But I will say this, man. I notice it. Even though I shit on them last year for how they handled Karrion Kross's, the royalties that he was entitled to. When he sent me the list of royalties, I laughed. I said, dude, we could set up a GoFundMe page. I'll have that money in 2-3 days. He's like, no, I'm letting my lawyer handle this and that, work it out. And then he worked it out. Good for him. I will tell you, Impact Wrestling, I don't know who they signed behind the scenes to do like their promoting online, but whoever they hired, if they hired anybody the last couple of months, they deserve a raise, because there is more promos and more advertising and more interaction on Impact Wrestling on social media than I can ever remember since 2002. And I know some people out there may disagree with me on that, but what I remember from the mid-2000s especially was Dixie Carter overhyping tweets. Just got off the phone with this person. This person is going to change the landscape of TNA forever. And Tommy Dreamer. Nothing against Tommy Dreamer, but she would overhype things. Oh my God, you would never believe who I was talking to today. That was the social media footprint for the most part. But anyway, ratings. This week, AEW 901,000. Very impressive. I told you AEW was going to hand NXT their butt. Maybe not as much as we thought it was going to be, but look, I'm glad other podcasts are starting to notice this. Something that I have been saying for months and months and months is that, 1.4 to 1.5 million fans are watching wrestling on Wednesday. And that is impressive when you think about Raw and Smackdown. And nobody would ever pay attention to that. This week, they were up to 1.6 million fans. So wrestling on Wednesday nights is turning into a lot of people's favorite night for wrestling. For me, it's my favorite night of wrestling. I might enjoy Friday nights doing this podcast more than anything because it's a lot less preparation and we interact, you and I, more on Fridays compared to Monday or Wednesday, because Wednesday is so much because I got to cover 2 shows and try to fit in other stuff. So Friday's a lot more relaxed. But Dynamite did a pretty damn good job this week in the ratings. And unfortunately, man, see, look, I support who I support, but I also tell it like it is too. A lot of people love that. A lot of people hate it. But I also said this Wednesday. I repeat it again tonight. Karrion Kross and Keith Lee's ratings the last couple of weeks, their interactions have not been impressive. Not at all. But I use the carrot analogy, and I'll continue using it. Karrion Kross is brand new in NXT. He's only had a couple of matches for the most part. He is a carrot just planted in the ground for the last couple of weeks. Let it grow. Keith Lee a year ago was my favorite in NXT. People might remember the first couple of episodes of Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite. Keith Lee was my favorite. It's been surpassed by Dexter Lumis now. And I'll tell you, Ridge Holland, man, I gave some praise for him Wednesday. Keep that name on the radar. They might have to change his name a little bit, maybe do it sooner than later, but that guy's a beast. But it concerns you a little bit. But a year ago, Keith Lee was not as big as what he is now. Royal Rumble helped him too. And you think about the NBA playoffs, it makes you wonder how it's going to affect ratings. Now, I would think that with AEW not being on Wednesday night 2 weeks because it's going to be preempted, not every AEW fan is just going to watch basketball. I think NXT's ratings got to go up. NXT's got to get close to 1 million. They have to get close to 1 million. But we'll talk about that next week. We have plenty of time to talk about preemptions. But so AEW Dynamite this week did 901,000, up from last week's 773. NXT did 753, which is up from last week's 707. Now, AEW Hour 1 was 922. Hour 2 was 880, so the second hour was a little bit lower. NXT, the same thing. Hour 1 was 781. Hour 2 is 725. Now, do I have a calculator? I do have a calculator, and I'm kind of surprised that I'm actually going to do this on the show. I didn't think of it before. But you know what people aren't mentioning? That people are making a big deal that 1.6 million fans watch wrestling this week. Nobody pointed out that 1.7 million watched Hour 1. 1.7 million fans watched the first hour of pro wrestling this week. That is a big, big number, and nobody's bringing it up. You know why? Because they don't bother looking at the hour breakdown or even the quarterly hour breakdowns. They'll just put the overall viewage because they see that chart. You know, the chart with the green and the red and all that. Everybody looks at with the demographics. That's their source. They don't do the research. I try to. So, here's the breakdown. AEW had 2 quarters tied for the highest ratings this week. Quarter 1 and quarter 2. The 12-man tag of the Elite, Hangman Page, and FTR versus the Dark Order. That drew 943,000 fans. And give AEW credit, their second quarter, which was the end of that match and the Jon Moxley interview, that also did 943. They lost no viewers in the first half hour of Dynamite. On the NXT side, quarter 1 was their highest as well. Quarter 1, they drew 820,000 viewers. And the match was Dakota Kai versus Rhea Ripley. So just think about that. Dakota Kai and Rhea Ripley scored the highest rating for NXT for the entire night. That should be surprising for everybody out there. Now, what was lowest this week for both brands? The lowest quarter for AEW was quarter 7, the 9:30 to 9:45 hour time, that period. That was the end of the debate with Jericho and Orange Cassidy, but it was only like maybe 2 minutes worth, so you really can't even count that. Also, the Britt Baker interview and the match with Reba and Big Swole. So that was the lowest quarter for AEW for the entire night. That did 825,000 viewers. The lowest quarter for NXT for the whole night, I'm sorry, man. Some people, you just got to tell it like it is. The Keith Lee Karrion Kross segment and William Regal's announcement and part of the Legado de Fantasma, that only did 700,000 viewers. There was a 220,000 viewer gap between AEW and NXT for the night. James Edwards been hearing it. WWE hired writers for NXT to help them against AEW. They could have, James. I don't see it yet. And if anybody in the writing team suggested Pat McAfee, people were curious. Did people tune into NXT and then stay glued during the incident to close it out? Well, believe it or not, NXT for the final quarter hour, that whole, incident with Adam Cole and Pat McAfee, and it only did 713,000 viewers. So it did not pop a rating for people that thought it was. So now let me just give you the overall. AEW's quarter hours for hour 1, they went 943, 885, 919. So they were pretty much staying consistent. On the NXT side, 820, 777, 771, 756. Still not bad. Not losing too many viewers. Hour 2 is where you see the big difference. AEW, 915, 918, 825, 863. Moxley, Darby Allin did 863. One of the lowest quarters of the night. In fact, that was the That was the second lowest quarter of the night. Darby Allin and Jon Moxley did the second lowest quarter. Remember last week, and I talked about Moxley not popping ratings for AEW? You know, it's not a bad rating. I mean, 863 is still a decent number. But that should be interesting for a lot of people out there. I'll also point something else out that nobody's going to talk about. When you look at between 9:30 and 10 o'clock, as far as wrestling as a whole, 9:30, you know, they, between the beginning of like 9:15, 9:30 and the close, you had like 100, 200,000 fans that were no longer watching wrestling for that night. I remember back with the Monday Night Wars, even the overrun. Anybody remember overruns? You get that 5-minute overrun rating. You would see like Raw did a 3.1 and a 3.7 and the overrun did a 4.3. I mean, we used to be glued to the overrun rating. Interesting enough, for NXT, the second hour, 759, 700, 730, 713. So, yeah. Mel, Mel's back. Mel, she's back. Yeah, the overrun. Chris remembers the overrun. Man, the overruns were big. Oh, man, the overrun. I missed the overruns. So, anyway, before we get into the history, because we got about 20 minutes left. I think we're doing good with time. Want to talk about Marty Jannetty for a minute? Let's talk about Marty Jannetty for a minute. You know, I'll say this. Oh, let me just mention this too. Rachel Ellering, the daughter of Paul Ellering, she is going to wrestle on AEW Dark against Penelope Ford. Now, I don't know how much offense she'll get during the match with Penelope Ford, but I think some of you out there might find it interesting. I thought I would share with everybody out there. Oh, let me say one more thing. A lot of you out there, I'm very surprised. But again, when I say that I actually listen to everybody out there, I really do. I'm shocked how many of you out there said to yours truly, emails, PMs, some feedback, give Pat McAfee a chance. Some of you are hometown boys of Pat McAfee and followed his football career and do check out his podcast. And a lot of people out there are telling me, give him a chance, because I have just been crapping all over Pat McAfee. I'm not going to lie. He does zero for me for wrestling. But one person out there actually said something to me that stuck with me more than anything. And that person said to me, DT, there's been many people in wrestling over the years that popped up in wrestling that may not have been a wrestler that I enjoyed, and other people may thought it was stupid. And, you know, they're basically saying to me that, you know, the guy, everything that he's done, he's always done a good job with, you know. So people are saying, you know what, give this guy a chance, see how it goes. If it bombs, then crap all over it. So that, you know, so I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm not going to shit on Pat McAfee anymore. Let's see what goes down between now and NXT TakeOver 30. And, you know, then I'll give you my honest thoughts. So I will keep an open mind with it. Now, you know what? Jay Carlos, I'm glad you actually just said that on the super chat. He feels really bad for Marty Jannetty. And thank you again, James Edward. Thank you about the writers. You know, I want to see where we see a little shift with NXT. I don't know if a shift is needed. They are very methodically creating a lot of big names of tomorrow. You could come up with 20 names in NXT that you could say, you know what, 5 years from now, they could be players. AEW is a smaller promotion, so they're not going to give you a list of 20, but AEW has a few as well. But NXT, you know, right now, maybe some of their crops are not bearing fruit, but a couple of years from now, you know, you're going to want to see, you know, some of the same matches over and over again in AEW 2-3 years from now. We got to see where those rosters look. Now, when I said about Jay Carlos putting that tweet about him feeling bad for Marty Jannetty, I'm going to go a totally different route with this. Totally different route for this. You know, a lot of you out there feel like, man, Marty Jannetty can't cut a break. You know, he's just, his life is this, is that, is this. I got news for you. In my opinion, I know this sounds nuts, but in my opinion, I think Marty Jannetty is having the time of his life. He is banging broads. He is bragging about banging broads. You know, I'm sure he's dealing with pain because of wrestling, but show me where Marty Jannetty is out of luck and out on, you know, do I think that there's a couple of eggs short of a dozen up there now? Absolutely. The guy is craving for attention. But people make it sound like this guy is is down and dejected. I think, let's see. Oh, yeah. I think Marty Jannetty is having a time of his life. Life may not be perfect for Marty Jannetty, but why does everybody think that Marty Jannetty is having like a horrible time at life? This guy is nuts. He's crazy. And, you know, he caused a lot of controversy this week. And Sneaker Addict says it too. He thinks Marty's having a blast. People are like, man, I'm praying for Marty. You know, I feel so bad for him. You know, he's down and out. I'm saying to myself, I think if somebody interviewed Marty Jannetty, Marty, if you could take anything back, I think he's having fun. I think he's loving this stuff. And the funny thing about it is, people clickbait. If you look at my description for tonight's show, I was very deliberate on how I wrote how I was going to cover Marty Jannetty. People are clickbaiting, saying murder, 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 murder. All right. First of all, it was attempted murder. All right, because I know Marty backtracked later on and said, I never said I killed him, but I left him in a... Look, he attacked someone. The overall consensus is this. He was 13 years old, which would be around 1973. He was looking to buy weed at 13 years old, and there was a drug dealer, and the drug dealer groped him. All right, and basically he took a brick. And it's kind of funny because if anybody has heard my grown-up Don Tony story, which I've told at least 20 times over the last 15 years. You know, me and my friends were on the corner of my friend's house on 78th Street. We were building an igloo with the brick things, and a guy started groping all of us. And we were, at the time, probably about 15, 16 years old, and we all took ice bricks and started bashing him with it. He ran away, and that was the end of it. Marty Jannetty, at 13 years old, is now claiming that guy tried to grope him, and he beat the shit out of him with a brick the back of a bowling alley and dragged his body to a river and left him for dead. He doesn't know whatever happened to the guy. The guy apparently was disappeared. He even said to someone on social media, oh, they should have checked this river. First of all, I invite anybody out there, just pretend when you were 13 years old. Did anybody ever stop and Google where that bowling alley used to be and where the river was? This isn't a bad episode from the ID channel. You think he got on his Huffy bicycle? What was that movie? The one at Bill and Ted? Do you think he did a Bill and Ted and got on his Huffy and had the dead or the near dead body and then drove on his bicycle to the river? Do you think the bowling alley? Hey man, let's go in the back and let's go to the river and go fishing. And then nobody bothered to look where the bowling alley was and where the river is. They're nowhere near each other. Again, just spend 5 minutes and you realize Marty Jannetty is just telling stories. Plain and simple. And even if he did do this to this guy, he was 13 years old. Probably would have been charged as a juvenile. Of course, police department says they'll take a look at it, but they're not going to look now because they got all these other cases they're working on. Yeah, you think you know what this is going to be? This is about like Jimmy Snuka, and Jimmy Snuka case was obviously much more evidence because you had an actual body and you had abuse, and you know, here you don't even know the guy's name. You got to do a missing persons report. What are you going to do? You're going to search the river for a bone from 40-something years? People out there don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I promised I wasn't going to curse on this episode, but a couple of times it's absolutely necessary. People out there clickbaiting this into making this a true huge story. This is Marty Jannetty just talking out of his mind and just like really trying to get attention on himself. I guess he never expected the cops to, make a statement on it, but when you're a celebrity and you're claiming you possibly murdered someone, TMZ is going to pick up on it. Other people are going to pick on it. They'll pick on it if you shit blood, So the Marty Jannetty story, like I said, you do simple legwork, like just looking, where is the bowling alley and where is the lake? Oh, how did he go all that distance to bring the body there? End of story right then. Do I believe Marty Jannetty was groped at 13? Yeah. I definitely believe it. And for anybody out there that wants to see the original tweet, how come I can't see the tweet? That's weird. Very strange. I don't know why I can't see. Oh, there we go. I never told this to no one, not even my brother Gino. I didn't want my brother gone. It only recently, I was 13 working at Victory Lane's bowling alley buying weed from a gay person. He put his hands on me, and this led to other, so that's the tweet that got his ass in a little bit of trouble. But again, if people out there would have just spent a little time just doing a little research, they would have realized that, maybe he did beat the shit out of someone, dragging the person to the river. Like I said, this is Bill and Ted. You think he had one of those little big wheels? He was in somebody's car. So what did he do? Call a cab? People don't think, man. People don't think. They just clickbait it, try to get attention to it. So anyway, we got a couple of minutes left. So, I want to just share this for some of you out there. The Rock, we know about him buying the XFL. Bankruptcy court today approved it. So the sale will be finalized probably in about 2 or 3 weeks. And I was thinking about it. You think there's any chance that The Rock may allow Vince back in as a partner? Don't rule that out. As crazy as that sounds, don't rule it out. And the Big Show will be involved with NASCAR. He is going to be the Grand Marshal for the NASCAR Cup Series Firekeepers Casino 400 this Saturday. So pretty cool, pretty cool. So for the last 12 minutes, let's go back a little bit with history. I'm going to run through these fairly quickly. Now, the pictures may look a little wider only because I wanted to fit the whole banner so we could get into it. But I'm just going to run these down. And the first one, my favorite Raw moment of all time. Not even close. My favorite Raw moment. It happens in less than 48 hours is the anniversary. Go out of your way. Bring it up to Jericho. He might respond to you as well. It was this week in 1999. Chris Jericho made his WWF Monday Night Raw debut. That confrontation with The Rock still gives me chills once in a while. I went back and watched it today 3 times. His promo was awesome. Even the interaction with The Rock. They started big time with Jericho. Obviously, it fizzled for a little while, but he would rebound, and, the rest is history with Jericho. So, awesome moment. Happened this week in 1999. Absolutely fabulous. And you know what? A lot of people may not even remember, too. That same night on Nitro, Hogan came back with the red and yellow after all those years with the NWO. That same night, he came back wearing the red and yellow. He was a babyface again. And that same night, Chyna beat Triple H and The Undertaker in a triple threat Falls Count Anywhere match to become the number one contender for the WWF Championship. Shawn Michaels was special guest referee. So there you go. More history. Oh, you know what? I think that same episode, Kane and X-Pac, which you'll see a little bit on the right, we'll talk about that later, but they won the tag titles. I think that all happened that same night. So everybody remembers Jericho, but a few other things went down that night as well. 2002, I think today may actually be the anniversary of it. Ron Killings, the Truth, R-Truth, beat Ken Shamrock to become the first black NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Something that I always look back and smile on. And, I could forgive the Pac-Man Jones stuff, but a very big moment in history. This week in 1997, Ravishing Rick Rude returned to the WWF as Shawn Michaels' insurance policy. They would ultimately form D-Generation X, and then you remember Rick Rude would leave, and he would be on Raw and Nitro the same night. But it was this week in 97 that Rick Rude first came back. And if you go watch that segment again, there's a little chant for Shawn Michaels that was kind of fucked up. And I know why, because of the rumors of him being in Playgirl magazine that year. So next on the left, 1980, WWF had that infamous showdown at Shea Stadium event, that match where Andre the Giant beat Hulk Hogan, and I think Hogan body slammed him that night, many, many years before WrestleMania 3. Backlund and Pedro Morales won the tag titles over the Samoans, and I've always criticized that match. Why would this guy win a tag belt when he was a WWF champion? He would have to surrender the belt, in storyline, obviously. And the feud in a cage, Bruno beating Larry Zbyszko. The matches on there as well, but those are the matches that everybody always talks about. Now, some debuts this week in history. This week in 1977, Hulk Hogan made his pro wrestling debut for the CWF promotion in Fort Pierce, Florida. He wrestled under the name The Super Destroyer and lost to Don Serrano. Not related to Pedro Serrano. By the way, did you ever see my little tribute to Major League in the background? See Razor Ramon on that list? It was this week in 1992. Razor Ramon made his WWF in-ring debut. He defeated someone by the name of Paul Van Dale, which happens to be Carmella's father. True. Also, next on the list, this week in 1988, Owen Hart and Curt Hennig made their WWF TV debuts. Owen Hart was under the mask, was the Blue Angel, which later became the Blue Blazer. And Curt Hennig made his debut. He was not Mr. Perfect yet. He was just regular Curt Hennig. He beat S.D. Jones. Next, 1994, Hardcore Heaven, 1994. That is the infamous match where Cactus Jack, Terry Funk went to a no contest. Public Enemy would get involved. And then Terry Funk would tell the fans to throw in some chairs. Stop the chairs! Stop the chairs! Yeah, that happened. Same week, this week in 97, one of my top 3 favorite matches in ECW of all time, and the most disturbing. Sabu beat Terry Funk in a barbed wire match to win the ECW heavyweight title. That's the Born to Be Wired event. If you've never seen it, go see it. When you see Sabu getting his arm torn open from the barbed wire, and my God, the table spot at the very end when they were all entangled and they're cutting with wire cutters, the barbed wire out of Terry Funk's head. That was a sick, sick match. That was a match that I wish to this day I got the opportunity. Mortalica is asking me in the middle of all of this, what do I think of Brandy Rhodes deleting her Twitter? Good. Too many trolls out there. Too many people just looking to ruin this. Told you, people live on social media. No wonder why so many of them are single. You imagine having a partner, whether you're homosexual, heterosexual, or bisexual. Imagine having a partner and sitting next to them and saying, oh, look what I tweeted Brandy. A lot of people out there, should step back and look at their social media account. That might be one of the reasons why they're not only unemployed, but single. Seriously, I saw no enjoyment on what people were doing out there. Just my opinion. Okay, next, see Seth Rollins. 10-year anniversary this week. WWE signed him to a contract. Nation of Domination this week in 1997. Holy shit, we're going to go a couple of minutes over. 5 minutes, not a big deal. This week in 1997, The Rock joined the Nation of Domination. You remember Farouk was battling chains. Referee Jack Doan got knocked out. Rocky hit the ring with a striped shirt that kind of looked like a referee shirt, but it wasn't. The Rock would give the rock bottom on chains. Farouk would pin chains. The Nation of Domination music would hit. And then The Rock would do the salute. The Rock was now part of the Nation of Domination. 2016, I agree. Who's dad? Social media is a cancer. My social media is very boring. But you know what? I like it that way. Because I have a beautiful fiance inside. I got a couple of jobs going on. I got a great family. Not just here, but at home with my parents. And Neil Ray, I didn't forget you, my brother, but if I did, I'm sorry, man. Lacey should get a push. I agree. I don't know, man. I got to think a little bit about Lacey Evans. They should have never changed the fucking character. You know, it just goes out of nowhere. And the funny thing is, if you see her on social media, she interacts with her fans big time. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. WWE, I think it's funny that they're afraid to do like law enforcement and pro-Trump, but destruction and Antifa and attacking, that's okay. That's okay. That reminds me of the doctors who were silent while all the rioters and protesters were not wearing masks. You know, not telling people, look, you could protest, but please, you know, this virus doesn't care. You know, just because you're fighting for a good cause, you still could get very sick from it. The doctors all kept silent. 2016, this week in history, Aaron Rex, Aaron Stevens, Damian Sandow, he made his Impact Wrestling debut. Would not last all that long. A couple of months later, he basically was gone from Impact Wrestling. 2010, Mika Honeys. TNA had Hardcore Justice. This was their ECW one-night stand. It was terrible. 20,000 pay-per-view buys, and that is considered the second biggest pay-per-view buy rate, other than Bound for Glory for 2010, which is amazing to this day. They couldn't use a lot of the names because WWE owned the trademarks. So we had the FBI over Kid Cash, Simon Diamond, and Swinger. Too Cold Scorpio over C.W. Anson. You look at the card on paper, it's not bad. But it was just, they wanted to do a one-night stand so bad. And I'll never forget at the end, when Dixie Carter was around, I think like the Dudleys and some others, Dreamer maybe, and they had a sign or something like, fuck you, Vince. I was like, do you realize how ridiculous you all look right now? Seriously. Rhino over Al Snow and Brother Run. Team 3D over Axel Rotten and Cojones in a street fight. Raven over Tommy Dream and RVD over Sabu. It was supposed to be RVD and Jerry Lynn, but that did not happen because Jerry Lynn's injury. Next, the Submission Sorority. Who remembers that? You know, everybody talks about the Divas Revolution. It was only a couple of weeks after they tried to form the Submission Sorority, not realizing that there was a porn series called that. And Bang Brothers thanked WWE this week in 2015 for having a 35% rise in their subscriptions. Everybody Googled Submission Sorority and found porn. That's why that name never stuck in WWE. 1998, Jay Leno actually fought in WCW, and he had that interaction with Hulk Hogan, and to this day, it's just bad. Seeing him put an arm lock on Hogan and Hogan writhing in pain, it got a lot of publicity, no question, but it was horrendous. Even more horrendous, this week in 1990, AWA ran its final TV taping ever. They finished that AWA Team Challenge series for the Cool Million. Jake the Millman, whatever the freak his name was, won a battle royal to give Larry's Legends the victory and the $1 million. That was horrendous. It was god-awful. It's as bad as it sounds. It was just a really sad ending for AWA. I talked about Jericho's debut in WWF before. It was this week also in 99 that Kane and X-Pac beat the APA, Farouk and Bradshaw, to win the tag titles. And this was the first time that Kane spoke without that throat device. Remember? X-Pac was telling him, you could do it, you could do it. He went on the microphone. He went, suck it. This week in 1984, the Junkyard Dog made his WWF debut, defeated Max Blue. I rhymed. In case you didn't know it, I'm a poet. Top right-hand corner to wrap this up. This week in 2005, Colt Cabana beat CM Punk 2 out of 3 falls. This took place in Chicago Ridge, Illinois. This was one day after he lost the Ring of Honor World Championship in a 4-way match to James Gibson. And this would be pretty much CM Punk's swan song because he was leaving to go to the WWE. Brian Cage, this week in 2015, lost a hair versus hair match against Alberto El Patron for AAA's Triple Mania event. And last but not least, well, we have two. 2016, they were hyping up SummerSlam, Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. Finn Balor debuted the Demon King character this week. No, Ken, we talked about Matt Hardy and Evander Holyfield last week. Saturday night's main event. Oh, my apologies. You are right. Wait a minute. It did happen this week. Okay, yeah. Thank you for bringing it up. Wow, I thought that was last week. Okay. It was this week that Matt Hardy, in a boxing match, got his ass knocked out from Evander Holyfield. Yeah, thank you very much, man. I didn't even realize I skipped over that. Yeah, Matt Hardy and Evander Holyfield. Saturday night's main event. That's one of the last Saturday night's main events as well. So, yeah, thank you for picking up on that. My bad. So, just finishing this up. Again, this week in 2016, the go-home edition of Raw for SummerSlam. Finn Balor came out with the Demon King character. Shout out to Mikey Gonzalez. That's from Ken. And, you know, the Demon King. I tell you, I like the Demon character. I love it. I want Finn Balor to bring it back. But I just hated how Seth Rollins would say it 800 times. You remember Seth Rollins' promos? The Demon King, the Demon King, the Demon King. Like they'd had a first and a last name. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was so goddamn annoying. Man, it was so annoying. So, Ken, if I missed your super chat a couple of days ago, I sincerely apologize. I honestly looked through them all. I don't know what you said a couple of days ago, but I am actually going to look. And guess what? Just like that. How is Dwayne Johnson working with his ex? Is Danny working for NBC? She's got, you know, she's like an agent. And I know I brought this up earlier in the week. God bless The Rock for having that kind of relationship with his ex-wife. Because as I said on Monday, with any of my ex-girlfriends or my ex, I want them not physically evaporated from the face of the earth, but I want to get one of those Men in Black mind melt things, and this way they never remember that they were ever involved with me. So sorry that I overlooked that the other day, but you know, I'm getting. You know what? I might as well tell you all this, and we're gonna wrap this up in 2 minutes. I am getting either next week or the week after a dual monitor setup. This way, I can have the super chat, the video editing program, my notes. I could have everything together on the screen instead of keep changing windows, because it gets a little bit difficult. When I have everything on my screen, even like super chat that I might have overlooked from a couple of days, boom, pull that shit right up. So yeah, so I'm gonna be changing things around. In fact, the cam that I use, this little, you know, cam device, I'm actually getting a full-fledged, like, mirrorless camera. So even the video quality is going to be changing dramatically. And, yeah, definitely going to see things changing. You know, some of the shows are going to be changing as well. You know, we'll talk about that in a few months. I don't want to keep bringing it up every week. But I would be sacrilegious if I didn't bring up the last one on this list. It was this week in 2001, right after the Invasion pay-per-view. Steve Austin, part of the Alliance, and he's basically got the Alliance in the ring, and he's talking about their performances. He praises Diamond Dallas Page. He praises Canyon because they're the tag champions. He praises Tess for joining the alliance. He praises Rhino. Then he starts berating some of the others. And when he got to Hugh Morris, I can't impersonate him, but basically he addressed Hugh Morris and he said, "Look at you. You're 275 pounds. Your name is Hugh Morris." What? Your name is Hugh Morris. What? Is that funny? Is that humorous? Are you here to make me laugh? What? You're pathetic. Look at me. You're pathetic. This was the birth of the what chant. It happened this week in 2001. It was not, anything that they thought was going to catch on. But, you go back and you watch that segment, are you funny? What? Are you humorous? Are you supposed to make me laugh? What? Oh, man. I have mixes. I remember I did one it was an Eminem rap. It would be like, my name is what? My name is what? You got to remember, this is 19 years ago. This is much younger Don Tony, still playing around. I got some weird mixes that I made back then, and a lot of them have to do with the what stuff. What, huh? What? I did one. I got to pull it out of my hard drive. In fact, I'm going to share it next week. Got to share it next week. And it's a spoof of the Eminem song. And when you hear it, you're going to be like, DT, you had way too much time on your hands at that time. So, but yeah, those are memories, man. So a lot of big things happen this week in history. Big things. So if some of these you've never seen before, go check them out. Go look them up. Wonderful stuff, man. Some of it's bad, but some of it is beautiful, man. It's awesome. So good times. With that said, I'm going to jet out of here. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Awesome show. 11 minutes over, but hey, last week we almost did 3 hours. So we knocked off about 45 minutes, so I want to keep this a little under 2 hours going forward. So we just got to tighten it up just a little bit more. And, if we didn't have that Retribution thing tonight, we probably would have finished the 2 hours. But, Neil, about the women's title, I didn't see anything about the women's title. Let me see. You talked about Lacey getting a push. Talked about Antifa. Okay. Yes, there is one I forgot. I got to go double check these before we go from now on. So, who do I think will drop the women's title first? That's a good one. I say Sasha Banks. I think Sasha is the one that might turn sort of babyface out of this deal. And it would be interesting since Bayley was the babyface before. No, thank you, man. Thank you. I have to double check these from now on and make sure. And like I said, when I get the dual screens, it'll always be in front of me. So right now it sucks because I got one monitor. I got to keep changing windows, and it's even worse on Mondays. So, but you feel like Sasha Banks has got to challenge Bayley. I think that's the way to go. But I'll tell you this much. It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me if WWE tries to do a little swerve. They could possibly have like a 3-way or a 4-way or a 6-pack challenge where Sasha and Bayley are taking on like 4 other women and their singles titles are on the line. And it could be possible that somebody could pin somebody else and not even pin Bayley or Sasha. Or maybe Bayley fights a 3-way or a 4-way and somebody pins someone else and she doesn't even get pinned and lose the belt. So when you say to me who loses the title first, it's very possible because how much they've invested in Sasha and Bayley this year and how much time they've given. Now they have all the belts. That you take the belt off of them without them being pinned or submitted. that's like the ultimate protection. So they would no longer be a champion, but then they could turn around and say, I wasn't pinned. I didn't submit. And then I could picture Stephanie go back on the Titantron. Oh, rules are rules. So it would not surprise me if whoever loses the title doesn't even get pinned or submitted. So we'll see what happens. But, Asuka is probably going to beat Bayley on Monday. Beat Bayley on Monday, yes. And then she's going to face Sasha for the belt. And we'll see where it goes. If there's a possibility, they may want to milk this brawl between Bayley and Sasha until WrestleMania. I know that sounds crazy for a lot of you out there, but we're already in August. September, October, November, December, road to WrestleMania. We're 5 months away from the road to WrestleMania. You look at Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, count how many months they're still feuding. 5 months could go like that. So I'm not saying that Bayley versus Sasha would be held off till WrestleMania, but it would not surprise me if that happened. 5 months could go very, very quickly, especially when they sidetrack it with other storylines and other things going on. I think Bayley, whoever she faces, retains. I think the only way Bayley loses at SummerSlam is if it's somebody on the NXT roster that they want to bring to the main roster, and their way of bringing that person to the main roster is having them win the title, and now they're on SmackDown. I don't think that'll happen, but that is a very easy way to get someone from NXT to SmackDown without them just showing up like Riddle did or someone else. As of right now, I think that Bayley will retain so they can keep this storyline going further. But we don't even know who her opponent's going to be yet. So let's wait and see, and we'll go from there. Rhea Ripley's definite possibility. But do you really want to see Rhea Ripley lose again? I think she's going to fight Mercedes Martinez at Takeover. Remember, Takeover and SummerSlam are very close to each other. So we'll see. We'll know in 1 week. But, yeah, Benjamin, they could milk the storyline that long. They could very well. Nothing stopping him from doing that, to be honest with you. So, but anyway, now I can officially say that I'm done for tonight. I thank you all for tuning in. If you're a member of Patreon, Sunday afternoon, not sure what time yet. I would say somewhere around 3, 4, or 5 p.m. Eastern. Probably between 3 or 4 we'll start. Mish and I are going to do breakfast soup, and we're going to have some fun on that show. Tomorrow night, I invite everyone once again. You're more than welcome to stop by the Discord channel at 9:30. We'll be up there probably 3 or 4 hours gaming. Even if you just want to lurk, you can just sit back and just watch us game. It's going to be hilarious. I mean, last week I was laughing so hard at 1 o'clock in the morning that the side of my head started swelling. That happens. Like, I don't know if it's the medulla oblongata, but, we had so much fun last week. We've been having fun every week, so you're more than welcome to stop by tomorrow. So, everyone, much love as always. I'll catch you all again Sunday for breakfast soup, Monday for DTKC, and then next Wednesday for Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite. And then, before you know, we'll be right back here. Definitely post your comments on the YouTube page. Let me know what you thought of Retribution. Do you agree, disagree with what I said? Any other ideas? Do you like my idea that Retribution should have been people that were released from WWE that maybe they re-signed and brought them back? I don't know. I don't know if those names actually would be strong enough. But, it would make sense why they would want to destroy the place if they lost their job. Retribution of what? That's the question that we have to answer. What is the retribution? For what? No opportunity? I don't know. And if you think of some people from NXT, why would they think they weren't given an opportunity? So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I don't think we should overthink it because this storyline might turn out to be absolutely horrendous. We'll see what happens. So everyone, much love as always. I'm out of here. Catch you all again over the weekend for Breakfast Soup. Ciao.
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you'd hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.